How's it going, everyone? Today I'm doing my video titled, Do WASRs Suck? This is a somewhat common question on the internet for newer AK owners or people who are interested in getting into the AK platform. And even though there's a number of videos on YouTube talking about it, I find that none of them say what actually needs to be said about the topic. They all kind of skirt around it or say something else that's kind of similar, but no one actually says what needs to be said, maybe in fear of offending someone, but I don't give a shit, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Do WASRs suck? No. The myth that the WASR 10 is a shitty rifle is an old, outdated bullshit myth that was never fucking true and is sure as shit not true today. It is mostly told by people who don't shoot guns seriously, or people who aren't that interested in AKs, or just don't know much about them to begin with. Do WASRs suck? No. You will find very few people on the internet who shit on WASRs. Why? Because people on the internet are capable of taking in new information and changing their fucking mind. But old motherfuckers that sit behind gun counters and at your local range and at the gun show don't use the fucking internet, so they're still operating on information that they heard in 2001. So let's get into this. Why do people say that WASRs suck? I would say why did they say, but I still find the occasional dude every now and then who says that those Romanian guns are just pieces of trash. So what's their complaints? Well, the number one complaint that I hear from many people is candid sights. Now look, I've taken in a lot of AKs through my shop. I've seen a lot of guns. I have yet to see a case of an AK with such poorly candid sights that the gun could not be zeroed. I have yet to see it. Now, AKs having a little bit of left and right cant on the front sight is very normal, and you'll find that. In fact, looking down this WASR, I can tell you right now, the dust covers cant a little bit to the right, the gas tube a little bit to the left, and then the sight goes back to the right a little bit. But the gun functions. So what would be the bitch and moan if the gun functions properly? Well, because most people do not know how to sight in an AK. AKs require an AK front sight tool. And the amount of people who I have met who own an AK but don't own a front sight tool is alarmingly high. A lot of people buy these guns and don't know how to sight them in. They never buy a sight tool, they never know. All they know is they take the gun out, and they shoot it, and it doesn't hit the target, and they say, oh well, piece of shit. That is the vast majority of people who complain about WASR inaccuracy and canted sights. Because most of the time, a little bit of sight cant isn't a big deal, and you can zero the rifle without an issue. If you don't have that, though, you're kind of fucked. So most of the people bitching about canted sights are just people who don't know how to zero their AK rifle. It's pretty simple. One other thing is accuracy. I hear the accuracy bit all the fucking time about how WASRs just aren't that accurate, or the AKs in general aren't that accurate. I've taken out probably 24 people doing show and tell with firearms and throw this rifle in their hands and they can't shoot it for shit. Now it's a couple of things. I think most people struggle shooting notch and post sights. I think the recoil is a little bit much for people, and I think that generally most people kind of suck at shooting in general. These AKs generally are said to print between 2 and 4 MOA. My WASR group's pretty regularly at 3 MOA, pretty recreatable accuracy. 3 MOA is about normal for the rifle. 3 MOA is perfectly lethally accurate. Is it going to drill a golf ball at 100 yards? No, it's not going to do that. But is it lethally accurate for a fighting rifle, which is what this is? Yes. We're going to get on that. The whole understanding what this is and what its purpose is, we'll get to that. That's a big problem with these things. But let's continue. What's the other bitch and moan about WASRs? They have mag wobble. A lot of guns have magazine wobble. Glocks do, my 1911 does, my ARs do. The only reason why people give a shit about AKs having mag wobble is because the magazine is not shrouded by anything. Basically, you have the full magazine, aside from a 1/4 inch of the top feeding lips, is exposed to the gun. A lot of people like to grip the magazine to shoot it. And when they feel that magazine shifting around, they get all pissy about how it's got wobble to it. If you pick up the gun and shake it, it makes a wobbly noise. Does that fucking matter when you shoot it? Nope. No, it doesn't. The problem is mostly a lack of education, but I'll get on that later. Mag Wobble. Does it fucking matter? No. If you cared about it anyways, the 2016 production WASRs and further on have much tighter magazine wells, and they don't really have any mag wobble. So, fuck it. The other big complaint is that the fit and finish is bad. That is something I hear all the time. Let me talk about the fit. The WASR 1063s, which are the rifle that came before the WASR 10, are rifles that are built from demilled firearms and then brought into parts kits, and then the parts kits sometimes got mismatched and then thrown on a new receiver. And they had quality issues, not in the terms of function. The guns worked, but you just get a case of you get a gun that was used at the end of the day. And your dust cover would have some wobble to it, and your gas tube would have some wobble to it, and your magazine would wobble a little bit. Oh, well. Does any of that matter? No. Then why do people care? Save it for later. We'll get to it. The last big thing that people bitch about on the WASRs is the finish. Because the finish is bad. No, the finish isn't bad. It's perfectly functional. It is ugly, though. It is a really basic parkerization job. It's gritty. It's gray. It doesn't feel good to the touch. And it scratches really fucking easily. But it keeps the rust off the gun, which is what it's supposed to do. So does it matter? Not fucking really. If all these complaints that I've listed to you sound odd, because I'm telling you they don't matter, then why the fuck have so many people gone so ballistic about these rifles sucking for problems that honestly don't matter? And the reason why is because different gun owners interpret information differently. It's kind of stupid to classify all gun owners, people who happen to own a firearm, as the same person. You wouldn't do that with anything else. You wouldn't be like, well, all car owners agree about that Ford sucks. You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that everyone who goes and eats at McDonald's agrees that the Big Mac is the greatest thing on the menu. You wouldn't say that. Saying that all gun owners have the same opinion or whatever is not true. Gun owners are very different from class to class, and they have different opinions and different values. The problem is that the vast majority of gun owners are not active shooters. I wish I had a better term for that, but that's the best thing I can come up with. Active shooters being people who go out and shoot their fucking guns. People who go out and train. People who run competition. People who actually put themselves under stress, under time, and they actually push themselves to get better with the firearm. Those people are actually a minute amount of gun owners. Yet they're very loud on the internet. So you'd be mistaken for thinking that most gun owners are like this, but most of them aren't. But the problem is that on the internet, these people don't bitch. People who actually shoot AKs, they don't bitch. Because none of that shit matters. But the old motherfucker who doesn't shoot his guns doesn't understand or doesn't care really about reliability. I mean, for fuck's sake, the argument about the Glock versus 1911 is still a hot and heavy debate today. Even when it's not even a remote competition at all. People don't care about reliability when they don't actually shoot their guns. That's the thing. What do WASRs have to offer? Reliability. In spades. They are phenomenally reliable guns. They do what an AK is supposed to. What an AK is not supposed to be is pretty and perfect. And they aren't. But people who don't shoot their guns, how can they judge the quality of a rifle? Well, two things. Number one, how does it look? Does it look nice? And number two, can you put it in a bench rest and pull the trigger at a piece of paper and show a nice tiny hole? Because it requires no skill on your part. And the WASR doesn't do either one of those things. The WASR is not pretty to look at all, and it's not very accurate. And guess what? If you don't shoot the firearm that much, those are the only things you have to go off of. So, oh well, I guess it's shit. The fighting rifle community has grown a lot in recent years. And do not mistake the fact it has grown and became very normalized. It was only a handful of years ago that owning a couple of fighting rifles and some body armor labeled you as being a militia nut. But nowadays it's pretty normal. As this group of people becomes more normal, their mentality and their ideas, our mentality, our ideas, become much more vocal and present on the internet. And what we care about is function. I want a gun to do what it's supposed to do. And a WASR is supposed to be reliable, first and foremost. And that's basically it. And deliver lethal accuracy, which it does both. What an AK is supposed to be is reliable and meaningfully accurate. Meaningfully accurate. What it's not supposed to be is pretty. And that's when we talk about what are the rifles actually supposed to do. And no one walks around saying about how AKs are such nice guns because they're like paintings on a canvas. No, they aren't. They're supposed to be rugged, reliable machines, tools for fighting. And they are. They do it great. Do WASRs suck? No. Did they suck? No. Are they good now? They've always been good. They're fine. They are 150 times better than any of the American-made non-spec trash you can put your fucking hands on. Now, I respect companies like PSA. I respect WPP for trying to introduce more AKs at this kind of price point that are good quality. But both WBP and PSA are having growing pains. One day, I may recommend them to my heart's content. But that day is not today. When that day comes, it'll be awesome. But for now, go with a Soviet spec rifle that works properly. The other option is the Zastava Z-Pap, the M70s. Those are pretty good too, but they're not Soviet spec. So between the two, you'll be okay. Did they suck? No. Do they suck? No. Are they good now? Yeah, they've always been good. Buy one. Why do some people bitch about them? Because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If you encounter someone in the wild bitching to you about how much the WASR sucks, you can pretty much guarantee they don't really know what they're talking about, in the world of AKs at least. And they probably don't shoot very often. That's everything I have to say. Hope you enjoyed it.